Hi, welcome to a SBR Sports Picks. This is the Odds Couple Sports Betting Show for Friday, August 26th. I'm Peter Lojak. He's Mike Brenner. And Mike Brenner, today on the show, we're going to get four pick recommendations from Troy West from allplayswin.com. Longtime guest, a particular expert on Seattle area teams. That is one of the games he's going to cover, the Washington game with us. And I'm happy to have him. You've seen Troy West videos, right?
Yeah, I haven't worked with him yet, but I'm a fan of his. I've watched some of his videos, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope we cash tickets all football season long, Pistol.
All right, Troy, thanks for being back with us. You ready for college football season? You did all your research and everything?
I think so, Pete. I'm very, very excited. This feels like my 10-year high school reunion with you guys, man. It's great to be back. Couldn't be more excited for football season, although we're still going very strong in baseball, but could not be more excited that college football is kicking off. Makes me sick that it's kicking off in Australia tonight, but that's another topic. Very excited. Lots of winners for you guys this season.
All right, sounds good. And Troy's website, again, is allplayswin.com. And it's interesting. Mike Brenner, the first game Troy chose these games. So I'm assuming that he has an edge that he sees on them is the Georgia Tech Boston College game. Now, we've discussed this game before this year. This is like the biggest 10-foot pole game of week one for me.
Yeah.
A lot of unknowns here, right? BC, normally a weak team with a strong offensive line and strong defense. But last year, they had problems on the offensive line, but now they're more experienced. That might turn out to be a strength. The defense should be good again, and they've got a new quarterback now, Tolles, for transfer from Kentucky. So that their offense might be a little bit more dynamic. So BC might be a little bit better this year offensively than they were last year. And then Georgia Tech, of course, was like
no excuse for the results last year.
The biggest
disappointment.
The second biggest disappointing team besides Auburn last year. So how much are they going to rebound this year? I don't know. Maybe Troy does, though. What do you think, Mike Brennan?
Well, I think honestly, if Paul Johnson doesn't do something, to turn that around, this ought to be his last year, because there was no excuse with all the returning starters. They were not even competitive last year. So I'm anxious also to see what Troy says. And for me, Pete, this is a 10-foot pole.
Total 10-foot pole. The lines right now, Boston College plus, and of course, it's also being played in Ireland. So it's not even, so that's another wacky factor. Plus 3.5, and the total is 43.5 or 44. Troy West, why'd you pick this game, and what do you recommend we bet here?
Yeah, like you said, two teams coming off extremely disappointing seasons. You could argue that Georgia Tech obviously came in with a lot of hype, coming off a really nice bowl win the year before against Mississippi State. But I truly do believe that Paul Johnson has got one last hurrah in him. Whether he continues, whether he gets fired or retires, we'll see. But I do think Paul Johnson, really, really tough offense to stop, especially week one. Because when you look at it, guys, you have film from the years past, but when you go into a game like this, when your team like Boston College, you've been practicing against the throwing game, you've been practicing against the run game, but you really, truly don't get to see the triple option game a whole hell of a lot in practice. So when you get into week one, you've been prepping against your regular ones, your number ones against Boston College, all practice long. Now all of a sudden you got to go against this dynamic run attack. Yeah, it struggled last year, but historically, they've had a lot of success in the ACC conference. They've had a lot of success against Boston College. I think Paul Johnson will have a big rebound season this year. I think they're going to be too fast, too physical for Boston College. Boston College was atrocious last year. I think they'll be atrocious again, especially week one against Georgia Tech. So I think Georgia Tech wins this game. You got to remember, they lost a lot of close games last year. They've had plenty of time to flush last season. Fresh start. Paul Johnson will have these guys ready. I like the Yellow Jackets in this one.
Sounds good to me.
I can't argue with it. I can't, because there's 6 offensive starters coming back. He got 5 defense coming back. And Paul Johnson didn't build that team from the year before on a fluke. So what happened last year, I think mentally it got into the players' head. So we'll see if Paul Johnson can steer that ship the right way. But I have to agree with Troy. That BC defense is going to have one hell of a time trying to contain that running game. It's going to be absolutely wild.
They also, though, have a strong defense in general, though. I mean, I would agree with you, Troy. If I had to make a pick on this, I would definitely go with Georgia Tech, just assuming that they're going to reclaim some of their former impressive play, which they were impressive for 1 year. For a while, they were a team that was overachieving and getting some impressive wins. It's just that there's some positives for Boston College here. I mean, that running back Hilliman.
He's the real deal.
And he was injured, so now he's back here. Now they got the new quarterback, a tall 6'5" guy. The offensive line might be better, and the defense is always strong. So there's a lot of positives for Boston College as well here, right?
There can be, but like I said, you look at both seasons, Georgia Tech, absolutely, I'm not going to deny that they underachieved last year. There's no denying that. But this team was in a lot of close games last year. They pulled out a lot of actually big wins. I think it's a more polished team, more veterans on the team. Paul Johnson, great coach, been around this league a long time. I think he'll have his guys ready to play. We'll see. I think Boston College is going to be one of those teams that gets better as the season progresses. But I think week one, they will not be ready for this offense. Georgia Tech's going to cover the points here.
All right, Troy's made his case. Georgia Tech -3.5. Thanks so much, Troy, for your insights on this interesting game. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about it.
Appreciate it, Troy.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.